Summer of my youth. Camps, the river, first parties, first dates. You won't believe what happened to me this summer. I turned 16. It was supposed to be the best summer of my life. Campfires by the river, secret parties in the woods, late-night swims, and my very first date. But instead, that summer changed everything. That was the summer I learned that even paradise can hide shadows. You won't believe what happened to me this summer. I turned 16. It was supposed to be the best summer of my life. Campfires by the river, secret parties in the woods, late-night swims, and my very first date. But instead, that summer changed everything. That was the summer I learned that even paradise can hide shadows. The sun was burning golden across the sky when I stepped off the old bus and onto the dusty road that led to the summer camp. My backpack was heavy, but my heart was racing with excitement. I could almost smell the pine trees and the river water from here. This was it, the summer of freedom. No school, no parents watching every step, just me, my friends, and endless days of adventure. The camp itself looked like something out of a movie. Wooden cabins lined up in rows, the sound of laughter echoing from the sports field, and the river glistening just beyond the trees. Everyone said that Camp Riverside wasn't just a camp. It was a place where memories were made, where first loves happened, and where stories began that you'd never forget. I still remember the way my best friend, Ethan, ran up to me the moment I arrived. He had that grin on his face, the one that meant trouble was coming. "Dude," he said, his eyes sparkling, "this is the summer. I can feel it. Everything changes this summer." At the time, I thought he meant parties and late-night adventures. I didn't know just how right he was. The first night set the tone. We all gathered around a massive campfire, the flames dancing high, sparks shooting into the darkening sky. Someone pulled out a guitar, and suddenly, it felt like the whole camp was alive. The counselors didn't care as long as we didn't get too wild, and the older kids were already whispering about sneaking down to the river later. It was there under the firelight that I first saw her. Her name was Lily. She wasn't like anyone else at camp. While everyone else shouted and laughed, she sat quietly at the edge of the fire, her hair catching the glow like strands of gold. She didn't notice me at first, but when she finally looked up, our eyes met, and I swear the world stopped for a second. Ethan nudged me hard. "Bro," he whispered, "that's your summer crush. I'm calling it right now." I laughed it off, but deep down I knew he was right. The days that followed were pure magic. We spent hours swimming in the river, racing each other until we collapsed on the sand, breathless and laughing. We played volleyball in the sun, sneaked sodas from the camp kitchen, and told ghost stories so scary we couldn't sleep without keeping the flashlights on. But the nights were something else. That's when the camp truly came alive. It started small, a group of us sneaking out past curfew to sit by the river. The water sparkled in the moonlight, and the air buzzed with the thrill of breaking the rules. Someone brought a speaker, and suddenly it was a party. The music wasn't loud, we didn't want to get caught, but it was enough. Enough to feel like we were infinite, like nothing outside of this camp existed. And that's when Lily started coming around too. She was shy at first, standing off to the side, her arms crossed as if she didn't want to be there. But slowly, night after night, she got closer. I catch her smiling at me when I made a dumb joke, or brushing past me when there was plenty of space to walk. One night, as the music faded and most people headed back to their cabins, she stayed behind. Just the two of us sitting by the water, the moon casting silver light over everything. She turned to me, her voice barely above a whisper. "Do you ever feel like this is all temporary? Like we're living in a dream that's going to disappear the second summer ends?" I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. And then she smiled. That small, secret smile that would haunt me for years to come. By the second week, I was in deep. Lily and I were inseparable. We walked through the woods together, found secret spots along the riverbank, and even carved our initials into one of the old pine trees. Ethan teased me nonstop, but he was happy for me. He had his own adventures brewing. He'd gotten close with a group of older kids who always seemed to know where the real parties were. And oh, those parties. They were nothing like the camp gatherings. Hidden away in the forest, with music blasting and drinks passed around, They felt dangerous, forbidden. Every time we went, I swore I'd never seen so many stars in the sky. It was at one of those parties that things began to change. That night, the air was thicker, heavier, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Ethan disappeared with the older kids, leaving me and Lily by the fire. She was quieter than usual, staring into the flames as if they were trying to tell her a secret. "What's wrong?" I asked. She hesitated, then said something that made my blood run cold. "Have you ever heard the story about the boy who never left this camp?" Her voice was low, almost like she regretted saying it. I frowned. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer. Instead, she stood up suddenly, brushing the dirt off her shorts. "Forget it. Come on, let's go dance." And just like that, the moment was gone. But her words stayed with me. That was the first time I felt it. That strange, unshakable sense that something was hidden beneath the surface of our perfect summer. And I had no idea that by the end of it, I'd wish I had never come to Camp Riverside at all. They say every summer has a secret. I thought mine would just be about first love, late-night swims, and stolen kisses. But the deeper I got into that summer, the more I realized some secrets are meant to stay buried. The morning after that strange night at the party, I couldn't get Lily's words out of my head. The boy who never left this camp. It sounded like something out of one of her ghost stories, the kind we told just to scare the younger kids. But the way she had said it, it didn't feel like a joke. Still, life at Camp Riverside didn't stop for mysteries. The days blurred together into heat, laughter, and the smell of sunscreen. The counselors tried to keep us busy with games and hikes, but everyone knew the real fun began when the sun went down. And with each passing night, Lily and I grew closer. There was one night, one I'll never forget, when we sneaked out alone to the river. The moon was high, painting everything in silver. The water looked almost unreal, like a mirror reflecting the stars. She sat beside me, her knees pulled to her chest, her hair falling across her face. "Do you ever think about what comes after this?" she asked suddenly. "After camp?" I laughed. "Sure. Back to school. Homework. Reality." She shook her head. "No. I mean after all of it. After life." Her voice was so serious it caught me off guard. "I don't know," I admitted. "I try not to think about it." "What?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out, her fingers brushing against mine. And just like that, the darkness around us didn't feel so heavy anymore. We kissed that night. My very first kiss, soft, trembling, perfect. For a moment, everything else disappeared. But when I opened my eyes, I swore I saw something moving in the woods across the river. A shadow. Tall. Still. Watching. When I blinked, it was gone. The next few days passed in a haze of happiness. Ethan noticed, of course. "Man, you're completely gone," he teased. "You've got it bad." "Shut up." I grinned, but I didn't deny it. He was distracted, though. He'd been spending more time with the older kids, sneaking off with them for who knows what. When I asked, he just smirked. "You'll find out soon enough." One evening, he finally told me. "There's a place in the woods," he said in a hushed voice, like he was sharing a forbidden secret. "The older guys call it the clearing. They say it's where the real parties happen. No counselors, no rules. Just freedom." I should have been excited. But instead, something about his words made me uneasy. Maybe it was the way his eyes darted nervously when he said it. Still, when he asked if I wanted to come, I agreed. The night of the clearing party was hot, the air heavy with the scent of pine and smoke. We followed a trail lit by torches, the flickering flames guiding us deeper into the forest. The music grew louder the further we went, until suddenly the trees opened up into a wide space bathed in firelight. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. Dozens of kids, some I didn't even recognize from camp, were dancing, laughing, drinking from bottles that were definitely not soda. The fire in the middle was massive, crackling high into the night sky. And then, there she was. Lily. I hadn't known she'd be there. She was standing with a group of older kids, her arms crossed, that same distant look in her eyes. When she saw me, her expression softened, but there was something else too. Worry. She walked over quickly. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "Why not?" I asked, confused. "Because this place, it isn't what it looks like." Before I could ask what she meant, Ethan appeared, grinning and pulling me toward the fire. "Relax, man. This is it. This is what summer's all about." I let him drag me in, but I couldn't shake Lily's words. The party raged on. Music, dancing, shouts echoing into the forest. But there was something strange about the energy there. Everyone was a little too wild, their laughter a little too sharp, their movements almost frantic. It felt less like fun and more like desperation. At one point, I wandered away from the fire, just to catch my breath. That's when I saw it. At the edge of the clearing stood an old, weathered stone. It looked like some kind of marker, covered in moss, half hidden by the trees. But what froze me in place was the carving. It was a name, a boy's name, and the date beneath it, 20 years ago. My stomach dropped. Lily's words came rushing back. The boy who never left this camp. I stumbled back, my heart pounding, but when I turned to call Ethan, I saw something else. A shadow. Tall. Still. Watching from the tree line. It wasn't my imagination this time. I know what I saw. And then, just like before, it was gone. I ran back to the fire, but Ethan was nowhere to be found. Panic surged through me as I pushed through the crowd, calling his name. No one seemed to notice. No one seemed to care. Finally, I spotted Lily. She grabbed my arm, her eyes wide. "Where's Ethan?" I demanded. She shook her head. "You need to leave. Now. Not without him." Her grip tightened. "Please. If you stay here, you'll understand what it means to never leave." Her voice cracked on the last words, and for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Real fear. That was the moment I knew, whatever secret this camp was hiding, Lily was part of it. I never saw Ethan again that night. When I woke up the next morning in my cabin, my clothes smelled like smoke, my head was pounding, and Ethan's bed was empty. At first, I thought he was just sleeping in late. But as the day dragged on, and his bunk remained untouched, the truth began to sink in. Ethan was gone, and deep down, I already knew he wasn't coming back. When my best friend vanished from camp, everyone acted like nothing happened. No one asked questions. No one even remembered him. That was when I realized the real danger at Camp Riverside wasn't the woods, or the river, or the parties. It was the secret everyone was pretending didn't exist. The morning after Ethan disappeared, I kept waiting for someone to notice. For a counselor to blow a whistle and call everyone together, for kids to whisper his name, for the director to search the cabins. But nothing happened. Breakfast was the same chaos as always. Burnt toast, scrambled eggs, kids shouting across tables. I looked around desperately, expecting someone to ask where Ethan was. But no one did. It was like he had never existed. I even asked one of the guys from our cabin, "Hey, have you seen Ethan?" He frowned. "Ooh, Ethan, my friend. Tall, dark hair, always cracking jokes." The kid just shook his head. "Sorry, man. Don't know who you're talking about." A cold chill ran through me. How could they not know him? Ethan had been here since day one. Everyone knew him. Everyone. Except now they didn't. I spent the rest of the day in a haze, drifting from activity to activity, searching for him. Swimming, volleyball, even arts and crafts, nothing. It was as if the camp had swallowed him whole. By the time the sun set, I was spiraling. That's when Lily found me. She slipped beside me as we sat on the steps of the cabin, the last light of day painting the sky orange. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said softly. I turned to her, my voice cracking. "Ethan's gone, and no one even remembers him." Her eyes flickered with something, recognition, maybe even guilt. "Don't say it out loud," she whispered, glancing around. "The walls have ears here." "What are you talking about?" I snapped. "My best friend disappeared. Doesn't that matter to you?" She took a deep breath, her hands trembling. "It matters. More than you know. But if you keep asking questions, you'll end up just like him." Her words hit me like ice. "What do you mean, just like him?" She didn't answer. Instead, she stood, pulling me with her. "Come on, I'll show you." That night, for the first time, I didn't sneak to the river for parties or music. Instead, I followed Lily into the woods. The forest at night was different. Quieter. Heavier. Every crack of a branch made me jump. Every shadow seemed to move just out of sight. Lily walked fast, her flashlight beam darting ahead, never behind. Finally, we stopped at a spot I'd never seen before. A circle of stones, half buried under moss. The ground here felt wrong. Cold. even though the summer air was warm. She knelt and brushed dirt from one of the stones. Carved into it was a name. A different name than the one I'd seen at the clearing. And another date. 19 years ago. I swallowed hard. What is this place? Her voice shook as she answered. It's where they keep them. The ones who never left. I stared at her, my heart hammering. You mean these are graves? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. The silence pressed down on me, broken only by the wind through the trees. I wanted to scream, to run, but my body felt frozen. Finally, I forced the words out. Why? Why does this happen? Lily's eyes glistened with tears. Because this camp isn't just a camp. It's older than that. The river, the woods, the stones, they demand something. A sacrifice. Every summer, someone disappears. And the rest of us, we forget. Her voice cracked. Unless you're close to them. That's the curse. You remember. You suffer. I stumbled back, shaking my head. No, that's insane. Ethan can't just... He can't just be gone. He has to be somewhere. Alive. She looked at me with such sadness it hurt more than the words. That's what I thought too. My first summer here, I thought the same thing. I stared at her, the realization slowly dawning. You lost someone too, didn't you? She nodded, her lips trembling. My brother. The ground seemed to drop beneath me. Suddenly everything made sense. The sadness in her eyes, the way she avoided certain places, the warning in her voice. She grabbed my hand, holding on tightly. Promise me you won't tell anyone. Promise me you'll keep your head down and survive this summer. That's the only way. But I couldn't promise that. Not when Ethan was out there, somewhere. The next day, I tried to act normal. I played along with the counselors, joined the activities, laughed at the right times. But inside, I was burning. Everywhere I looked, I saw reminders of him. His empty bunk, his towel still hanging by the river, his voice echoing in my head. This is the summer. Everything changes this summer. And then something happened that almost broke me. During lunch, one of the counselors came by our table, passing out sign-up sheets for canoe races. As he handed me a form, he smiled. Here you go. Ethan. I froze. What did you just call me? The counselor blinked, confused. Ethan, right? Sorry if I mispronounced it. My blood ran cold. They didn't just erase Ethan. They were replacing him. With me. That night, I confronted Lily again. They're calling me Ethan now, I said, my voice shaking. What does that mean? Her face went pale. It means they've chosen you. The words hit like thunder. My stomach twisted, my chest tightened. No, that's not possible. I'm still here. I'm alive. She grabbed my shoulders, desperation in her eyes. You don't understand. That's how it starts. First, they erase the memory of the one who's gone. Then, they put the name on someone else. You're becoming the sacrifice. It's happening to you. Her words shattered me, because deep down, I already knew she was right. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake in the cabin, staring at the ceiling, listening to the creak of wood and the whisper of the trees outside. And then I heard it. A voice. Faint, distant, but unmistakable. My name. No, not my name. Ethan's. It was his voice, calling from the woods. That night, when I heard Ethan's voice calling my name from the woods, I had two choices: stay in my cabin and pretend it was a dream, or go after him. And maybe that's where I made my biggest mistake. Because once I stepped into those trees, I realized something in the forest had been waiting for me. At first, I told myself it was a trick of the wind. Then my tired brain was just replaying his voice, twisting it into the sound of leaves rustling outside. But then I heard it again. Clearer. Louder. Help me. It was Ethan. I knew it. I sat up in bed, my heart slamming against my ribs. The other boys in the cabin were snoring, lost in dreams. I pulled on my shoes, grabbed a flashlight, and slipped out the door as quietly as I could. The camp was silent. Even the crickets seemed to be holding their breath. The moon hung low, silver and swollen, painting the cabins in ghostly light. And then, from the tree line, I heard it once more. Please. My legs moved before my brain could catch up. I was running toward the woods. The trees swallowed me whole, the flashlight beam slicing through the darkness. Branches scraped against my arms, roots grabbed at my shoes, but I didn't stop. Ethan, I called. My voice cracked in the night. Where are you? No answer. Just silence. I kept going deeper and deeper until the camp was far behind me and the forest pressed close from all sides. That's when I saw it. A figure, standing between the trees. For one wild, hopeful second, I thought it was him. I even smiled. Ethan. But the figure didn't move, didn't wave, didn't speak. I shone the flashlight on it, and my blood turned to ice. It wasn't Ethan. It wasn't even human. It was tall, too tall. Its limbs were long and bent in strange angles, its skin pale like moonlight. Its face, if you could call it that, was hollow, like someone had carved out the features and left only shadows. I stumbled back, my breath choking me. The flashlight flickered, the air grew colder, and then the thing tilted its head, like it was studying me, and then it whispered, Ethan. I ran. I don't remember how long, or in what direction. I just remember branches tearing at my skin, the sound of footsteps behind me, heavy, deliberate, and the cold breath of the night pressing against my neck. Finally, I burst into a clearing. Not the clearing, not the party ground, but a smaller space, ringed by stones. My flashlight cut across the mossy shapes, and I realized with horror what they were. Gravestones, dozens of them, some with names so weathered they were unreadable, others fresh, clean, too new. And one of them bore a name I knew. Ethan. The date beneath it was this year. This summer. I fell to my knees, my chest caving in. It was impossible. He couldn't be dead. He couldn't. And then a hand touched my shoulder. I screamed and spun around, only to see Lily. She was pale, her eyes wide, her breath quick. You shouldn't be here, she whispered. It's not safe. Where is he? I demanded, my voice breaking. Is he really? I couldn't even say the word. She swallowed hard, tears welling up. I told you, the camp takes someone every summer. This time it was Ethan. And if you keep pushing, it'll be you too. I shook my head, backing away. No. I heard him. I heard his voice calling me here. Lily's face went even paler. That wasn't him. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Her eyes darted to the trees, as if the shadows were listening. They can mimic. They use the voices of the ones who are gone to lure others in. The words slammed into me. My chest tightened, ball rose in my throat. I wanted to scream, to deny it, but deep down, I already knew she was telling the truth. I had followed something into the woods. And it wasn't my friend. We didn't make it back right away. The forest seemed alive, shifting around us, every path twisting back onto itself. My flashlight flickered until it died completely, leaving us in near darkness. At one point, we stopped to catch our breath, and Lily whispered, Don't listen if it calls again. No matter what. Promise me. But then it did. Help me. Ethan's voice pleaded, close this time, too close. It was as if he were standing right beside me in the dark. I clenched my fists, my body trembling. Ethan, I shouted, spinning around. Where are you? Don't. Lily cried, grabbing my arm. It's not him. But the voice came again. Softer now. Almost broken. Why did you leave me? My heart shattered. Every instinct screamed at me to run toward it, to find him, to save him. But Lily's grip was iron, her eyes burning into mine. If you go, she whispered, you'll never come back. We stumbled through the woods until, somehow, we found the camp again. By the time we slipped into my cabin, the first light of dawn was already bleeding into the sky. I collapsed onto my bed, shaking, my mind spinning. The gravestone, the shadow, the voice. None of it made sense, and yet it was all too real. Lily sat beside me, silent for a long time. Finally, she spoke. You have to survive this summer. That's the only way. When the season ends, the curse resets. If you make it out, you'll be free. I stared at her, my throat dry. And Ethan, her eyes dropped to the floor. She didn't answer. The days after that blurred together. I tried to act normal, to go along with camp life, but I felt the shadows pressing closer every day. Counselors watched me with strange smiles. Kids laughed too loud, as if hiding something. And every night, when the wind rushed through the trees, I swore I could still hear his voice. Sometimes, even when Lily was right beside me, I'd hear it whispering my name. And worse, I was started here in the daytime, too. One evening, as the sun bled red across the sky, I asked Lily the question I'd been dreading. Why are you helping me? She looked at me for a long moment, her face unreadable. Finally, she said, because I don't want to lose you too. Her voice cracked on the last word, and before I could respond, she leaned in and kissed me. Not a quick, uncertain kiss like before. This one was fierce, desperate, almost like a goodbye. When she pulled away, her eyes shimmered with tears. Promise me, she whispered. Promise me you won't go back into the woods. I opened my mouth to promise, to tell her I'd listen. But then, from the tree line, the voice came again. Please, just one more chance. It was Ethan, or at least it sounded like him, and this time it was calling my name. On the final night of camp, I finally understood the truth. Camp Riverside wasn't cursed by the forest. It wasn't haunted by ghosts. The real horror was much worse. And to escape, I had to choose, betray my best friend's memory, or lose myself forever. The days leading to the end of camp passed in a blur, every moment filled with unbearable tension. I barely slept. Every night, the voice called to me. Sometimes it begged, sometimes it screamed, and sometimes it laughed. Ethan's laugh. Each time, it became harder to resist. Lily stayed close, watching me with those desperate eyes, like she was waiting for me to break. I almost did more than once, but something inside me, something stronger than fear, kept holding me back. Until the last night. The counselors announced a farewell bonfire at the river, the big tradition to close out the summer. Everyone was buzzing with excitement, cheering, singing, throwing on their best clothes. It was supposed to be a night of celebration, of memories, of joy. But for me, it was something else. It was the night everything came to an end. Lily found me before the bonfire started. She grabbed my hands, her voice trembling. This is it. If you can make it through tonight, you'll be free. Don't wander off. Don't listen. Just stay with me. I nodded, but I could feel it already, the pull. The whisper. The forest was waiting. The bonfire roared to life, flames licking high into the night sky. Music blasted from a speaker. Kids danced and laughed. Counselors told stories. From the outside, it looked like the perfect summer ending. But inside, I was falling apart. Because above the music, above the laughter, I heard it again. Help me. Ethan's voice, coming from the trees. I froze, my blood turning cold. No one else seemed to hear. They were too busy celebrating. But I heard, clear as day. And then my name. Not Ethan's. Mine. Come to me. I stumbled back from the fire, my chest heaving. Lily saw me and rushed over, panic in her eyes. No, don't. Don't listen, she begged. But it was too late. My feet were already moving. I slipped into the woods, the firelight fading behind me. The shadows welcomed me, thick and alive. The voice grew louder, closer, guiding me deeper. Just a little further. I ran, branches tearing at my skin, until I stumbled into the clearing. Not the party clearing, not the graves. Something else. A stone circle, larger than anything I'd seen before. At its center stood the figure. Tall, twisted, hollow-faced. It turned toward me, its body creaking like old wood, its limbs bending unnaturally. And then it spoke. Not in Ethan's voice, not in mine, in Lily's. Stay with me. I froze, terror exploding through me. My flashlight shook in my hands. What are you? I screamed. The thing tilted its head, shadows writhing across its hollow face. We are the camp. We are the river. We are the summer that never ends. My knees buckled. Where's Ethan? What did you do to him? And then, behind me, I heard footsteps. Real ones. I spun around, and there was Lily. Her face was pale, her eyes wide. You weren't supposed to come here, she whispered. The figure moved closer, its body scraping against the earth. Lily stepped between us, trembling. You can't have him, she said. Not him. The hollow face leaned down, the voice booming now, layered with 1,000 echoes. It is the rule. One stays. One is chosen. This is the price. I realized then what it meant. Ethan hadn't just vanished. He had been taken, offered, sacrificed. And now it was my turn. unless someone else took my place. Lily turned to me, tears streaming down her cheeks. I told you to survive. I told you not to follow. But you wouldn't listen. Her voice cracked. I'll take your place. Before I could move, before I could stop her, she stepped into the circle. The thing reached for her, its long fingers curling like roots. The ground trembled, the trees shivered, the air itself seemed to split open. Lily looked back at me one last time, her smile small but real. Remember me? She whispered. And then, the darkness swallowed her. The forest went silent. The figure was gone. The stones glowed faintly, then dimmed. And I was alone. I don't remember how I got back to camp. I stumbled through the woods like a ghost, my body numb, my mind shattered. By the time I reached the cabins, the bonfire had burned low. Kids were laughing, packing, saying goodbyes. No one asked where Lily was. No one even seemed to remember she existed. Just like Ethan. The next morning, the buses arrived. I sat in silence as the camp faded behind me, the river glittering in the distance. The counselors waved, smiling too wide, their eyes too empty. When I got home, I tried to tell myself it had all been a dream, that I'd see Ethan at school, that Lily was just another camper I'd forgotten. But deep down, I knew the truth, because every night since then, I still hear the voice. Not Ethan's, not Lily's, my own, calling from the woods. And that was the summer of my youth, the summer of bonfires and rivers, the summer of first kisses, the summer I learned that some memories never fade, because they don't belong to you anymore.